Rachel Moore, a local shopkeeper, noticed a little girl stealing from her store and followed her to see where she was going. But what she discovered was a reality that shattered her heart into pieces. In a peaceful neighborhood of Evans City, Pennsylvania, lived Rachel Moore, a woman with a generous spirit and a keen eye. Rachel had owned a grocery store for many years, a place she and her husband Robert had managed to open with a lot of effort and savings. At that time, the situation in the neighborhood wasn't so bad, and the steady flow of customers at the grocery store ensured Rachel a good income. However, like a sudden gust of wind, the calm turned into a storm. In less than a year, the tide began to change. Traffic in the grocery store decreased, the people who used to frequent it seemed to have disappeared, and sales plummeted. Rachel, with her generous heart, tried to alleviate the situation by extending credit to customers and accepting late payments. But the financial crisis hanging over the neighborhood became increasingly evident. It was on a Wednesday afternoon while stocking the shelves that Rachel noticed something out of place. A small figure huddled in a corner, trying to hide from view. A little girl with restless eyes and a loaf of bread hidden under her blouse. Rachel's surprise was immediate, because that child did not seem to be one of the usual store visitors. It was evident that she was committing an act of theft, but Rachel did not reprimand her immediately. Taking a closer look, Rachel realized that it was a girl of about 5 years old. She frowned and wondered if the girl was accompanied by someone, perhaps a mother or father. But as she watched the child walk away, Rachel noticed that the girl was walking quickly with her head down, clearly indicating she was alone. The week passed without major events, except for the repetition of the same scene. The girl returned to the grocery store and stole some food in the hope of going unnoticed by the store owner. On the third occasion, the girl even brought a bag to make it easier to carry the food. Rachel, always vigilant, did her best not to be noticed by the little thief. Despite the financial crisis plaguing the city, she couldn't fully comprehend the reason behind the girl's actions, but what she was about to discover would surprise her. After all, the child seemed to be well-dressed, showing no signs of extreme need. It was on a sunny morning that Rachel decided to approach the situation delicately. She approached the girl with a gentle smile and said, "Hello. I noticed you've been here several times. I'm glad you like the food. I'm Rachel. What's your name?" The child's reaction was instant and unexpected. She turned to Rachel, her pale face quickly flushing as if she had been caught in a forbidden act. After a few seconds of hesitation, the girl stammered, timidly asking if she was allowed to take the food. Her pleading eyes met Rachel's, who smiled gently before replying, "Of course you can, dear." Before she even finished the sentence, the little girl was already filling her bag with other items from the grocery store. Curious and concerned about the girl's situation, Rachel tried again. "Can I help in any way? Where are your parents, dear?" The child seemed not to hear, or perhaps pretended not to understand the questions. With the bag full, she finally apologized and said she needed to go, heading in the direction Rachel had observed in the previous days. The heavy bag swung at her side as she ran off. Determined to find out more about the situation, Rachel realized she could no longer just be a spectator. As soon as the girl left the store and turned the corner, Rachel acted. She asked her employee to take care of the store for a while as she went out to investigate. Carefully, Rachel got into her car and followed the child from a safe distance, keeping her in sight but not wanting to frighten her. Her heart beat fast, filled with good intentions but also concern. The girl led Rachel down a dirt road that soon turned into a dark alley. Parking the car carefully, Rachel decided to continue following the girl on foot. She noticed the child was heading towards an even narrower and darker path. As they progressed, a sense of unease washed over Rachel, who now felt increasingly worried. The girl emerged from the dark tunnel and entered a dimly lit street, revealing a desolate and dangerous part of the city. Despite the bleak scenery, Rachel wasn't deterred and continued to follow her. After crossing an abandoned and unkempt lot, the girl finally stopped in front of a house. Rachel watched as the girl entered the house and disappeared through the slightly open door. Rachel's heart raced, feeling a mix of fear and determination. She knew she needed to find out what was happening with that girl and why she was venturing into such dark paths. What would you do if you were in Rachel's shoes? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling stories. Rachel tried to see what was inside the house, but the door closed abruptly before she could reach it. With a voice full of compassion, Rachel shouted that she wasn't there to hurt anyone, only to help. Approaching the door, she knocked gently, asking the girl to listen, explaining that she just wanted to understand the situation and offer assistance. Reluctantly, the girl cracked the door open and pleaded with Rachel to leave, begging her not to call the police. With a serene smile, Rachel assured her that she wouldn't involve the authorities. After a few moments of hesitation, the girl finally opened the door fully and allowed Rachel to enter. Stepping into the simple and dimly lit house, Rachel noticed the lack of furniture and the musty smell that filled the air. The place seemed isolated, away from the city. In a dark corner, huddled in the shadows, were the boy and a small dog. Both seemed frightened by Rachel's presence. That was when the girl's, Serena's, expression crumbled. Tears welled up in her eyes as she introduced herself as Liam's older sister and responsible for the little dog, Buddy. "Please don't take them away from me. My mom told me to take care of them," pleaded Serena with a trembling voice. Moved by Serena's words, Rachel embraced them and reassured her, saying she had no intention of separating them. Understanding the delicate situation, Rachel gently asked why they were living in such a remote place. Serena, still wiping her tears, didn't respond immediately. Instead, she began to walk towards another room in the house, and Rachel followed cautiously. As they entered the room, similar to the others but noticeably clean and organized, their eyes fell upon a comfortable bed. On it, a frail and thin woman, semi-conscious, lay. Rachel could see the weakness etched on the woman's face, yet her eyes met Rachel's, and a faint smile formed on her lips. It was at that moment Rachel understood the truth behind this dark and mysterious story. With difficulty, she asked Serena to go play outside with Liam and Buddy, and the girl promptly obeyed. With the atmosphere now calmer, Rachel approached the woman, whose face showed fragility, and introduced herself. A faint smile formed on the woman's lips upon hearing Rachel's voice. "I heard someone would come. I prayed for this," began the woman with a weak voice. "We don't know each other, but you can see I don't have much time. I need you to do something for my children. There's an envelope on that dresser with some money. It's not much, but it's enough for a few months of meals and comfort. Please use that money to help them." Rachel tried to argue, suggesting taking her to a hospital, but the woman held her hand firmly. Her gaze conveyed a mixture of resignation and serenity. "Going to the hospital is no longer an option in my condition," explained the woman softly. "It would only result in the little money I have being spent on palliative treatments instead of feeding my children." Swallowing hard, Rachel tried to insist once more, but the woman held her hand tenderly. "Do you promise me?" she asked, looking into Rachel's eyes. With no other choice, Rachel nodded and promised to do as she asked. The woman thanked her with a frail smile and asked Rachel to call Serena. Even as a child, Serena understood the gravity of the situation. Tears were already streaming down her face as she approached her mother's bed. "Mom, you'll be okay," the girl said, though her face revealed the fear she felt. The mother smiled, her eyes conveying love and comfort. "Remember how every night we'd watch the starry sky? Even on moonless nights, we'd look for stars. Remember that, dear?" With a choked voice, Serena nodded in agreement and said yes. The mother continued tenderly, "Soon, I'll be in the sky, and I want you to look at the sky every night. I'll be there, watching over you and your brother. Understand?" Crying and sobbing, the girl hugged her mother tightly, promising to do just that. "I love you, Mommy," she whispered with a trembling voice. The woman replied with a gentle smile, "I love you too, dear." Please take care of your brother for me." Leaning against the wall, Rachel felt her eyes burn as she watched this touching scene. She called her husband and informed him that she would be spending the night away due to a serious issue, promising to explain everything in the morning. Rachel lay on an old couch in the house, but sleep did not come. Her mind was filled with painful memories. In an instant, she saw herself months ago, in the kitchen, trembling and crying uncontrollably. Her eyes fixed on the glass of water she was trying to hold, but it ended up falling to the floor. In that moment of despair, Robert had held her, preventing her from doing something that could have changed their lives forever. When the day finally dawned, the children's mother was no longer with them. Rachel knew she couldn't simply leave the children in that empty and dark house. With Serena, Liam, and Buddy in the back seat of the car, embracing each other with tear-filled eyes, Rachel found herself reliving her own pain and sorrow. With her hand on her belly, she had a flashback of that terrible night. The desperation, the confusion, the feeling of not knowing what to do anymore. At that time it was Robert who saved her, just as now she needed to be the support for Serena and Liam. In that moment of despair, Robert repeated words of comfort, saying that the pain would pass and they would overcome it together. But amidst tears, Rachel expressed how painful it was to lose the baby. The loss had occurred at 3 months of pregnancy and left a devastating void in her heart. Rachel believed she would never be a mother again, lacking the courage to face the challenge of pregnancy once more. However, looking through the car's rearview mirror, she realized that perhaps fate was giving her a new opportunity with the children in the back seat. Despite the limited contact they had had so far, she already felt something special for Serena, Liam, and Buddy. It was as if a deep calling was echoing in her heart. Determined not to waste this feeling she had sworn never to feel again, Rachel arrived home with the children and the dog. Robert was confused upon hearing her explanations. Besides arranging for the burial of the unknown woman, now there were 2 children and a dog in their living room. He argued that it was madness that they couldn't just keep children who weren't theirs. However, upon hearing about the visit from the children's mother and the envelope she left behind, Robert began to understand that perhaps this was more than a simple coincidence. It was as if destiny was charting a new course for their lives. Together, the couple opened the envelope left by the children's mother. Inside, they found some $100 bills, enough to ensure a few months of sustenance. It was at that moment that they understood the responsibility they now carried. Serena, Liam, and Buddy would have no chance of survival with just that money. They needed care, love, and a home. Despite searching for the children's relatives, they found no one who could take on the responsibility for them. The only person who had helped was an elderly woman in a nearby village, but her conditions were not suitable for caring for the children due to her advanced age and limited financial situation. Rachel searched the internet, watched the news, but there was no information on missing children that matched Serena and Liam. They decided to welcome the children under their roof. Over a month, their bond grew stronger, and the love between them flourished. 45 days after moving in with the couple, Robert and Rachel already loved Serena and Liam as their own. The children brought light into that house that once felt so empty. Together, they became a family bound by fate, compassion, and the overflowing love between them. Then, the couple decided to formalize the adoption request. They went through all the bureaucratic process, signed piles of papers, and, although it was a long road, Serena and Liam finally became legally theirs. Buddy, the faithful family pet, was now officially part of the new family as well. At work, people noticed the difference in Robert and Rachel. They commented on how they seemed happier, more complete. Their employee even mentioned that the children were a true miracle, that when one door closes, another always opens. And indeed, those little beings had brought a new light into the couple's lives. Serena and Liam had their time of mourning, never forgetting their first mother, but they found solace and love in the arms of their new parents. They now attended school, their lives taking a new direction, filled with possibilities and hope. They knew they would never have to rummage through dumpsters for food again, because now they had a home full of love and security. If you were touched by this story of love and resilience, don't forget to leave your like and share it with your friends. Oh, we have other videos that are also amazing, worth checking out. Have a great time and see you in the next video, folks.